What's up, everybody? This is Noah from the Low Rated Duelists, here to bring you my predictions for the ban list for January 2017 format. There's a few cards here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 in the main deck, and there's 6 in the side deck area. Those down there in the side deck, I'm not going to get in depth on. It's just the 7 up there in the main deck that I really wanted to talk about. The ones down in the side deck area, those are ones that I'm predicting that may be affected in some kind of way on the ban list, but are ones that I'm not surefire on. So the 7 up top, those are the ones that I'm pretty confident in. And so those are the ones that I really just want to go ahead and get in depth on. And so let's not waste any more time. Let's go ahead and just jump right in and talk about some of these. All right, so I'm going to start off with monsters, and the monster that I want to pick it up with is Magispector Unicorn Corinne. So this card is absolutely fucking insane. Everyone knows it. Everyone's known it for a long time. It was hit to 1 in the August ban list, and let's be honest, guys, that did nothing. It's done nothing because it's still searchable with Magispector Raccoon, and a lot of Pendulum decks are running triple copy of that to search it out anyways. So it's and it's searchable off things like Magical Abductor. Everyone knows the play with Terraforming Abductor is GG pretty much because it can search this out turn 1. And it's just it's still a problem. It's still a huge problem. Once it hits the field, it's just almost impossible to deal with. You can't really get it off the field. The only way to reliably deal with it is to negate its summon entirely, and that's just not there's no way to reliably do that, because once this gets into circulation, it can win games by itself. It's a walking compulse that can't be targeted, can't be destroyed by card effects. Not only that, it can wombo combo for you because it can return things like your Skull Crobat Joker. It can return that to your hand to be normal summoned again for more searches. It can return other stuff to the hand. I don't know, man. It's just a fucking crazy card, and it really needs to go away. And so I'm pretty confident that Konami's going to go ahead and give it the axe this time around. At least we can hope. Anyways, moving on. So I want to talk about Elder Entity Norden. This card has been around for a very long time. It's kind of just been there. And first it was at 3, then they hit it to 1, and it's been at 1 for a long time. And it's not really been a huge problem, I feel like, up until just recently, because with the advent of things like Totally Awesome being able to be brought out by Bahamut Shark and stuff, and with the Zodiacs about to be hitting the TCG very soon, this card is going to get out of control pretty quickly, I feel like, because now you're allowing decks that should not be able to make Totally Awesome. Every deck can make it now because you can splash in. Of course, you have Norden as a water monster, and you can splash things like Gigabyte in, things like fucking Aqua Spirit, and there's a million other things. There's a million ways to get Totally Awesome out by using this card as the one half of the equation. And so not even considering that, but once Zodiacs come out, this guy can bring back a Zodiac from the graveyard, and even though its effect will be negated, it's you can still one card overlay for more shenanigans and things like that. So this card's going to get out of hand pretty quick, I feel like, and I feel like it does need to be banned. Moving on. Psyframe Lord Omega. Kind of similar to Norden. This is a card that's been around for forever, but hasn't really become a problem until pretty recently, because with decks just being able to go off they're able to nowadays, and with the whole game being centered towards invest everything you have into your first turn board game type of situation, there's several decks that can make 2 copies or even 3 copies of this on their first turn, and you're pretty much fucked at that point because you're getting 3 cards ripped out of your hand, so that pretty much has the potential to ruin your entire play that you have set up. And not only that, but once this thing activates its effect and rips a card out of your hand, it leaves the field also as part of its effect. And so you can't even touch it. It's off the field, you can't deal with it. And it comes back and just keeps doing it over and over again. And it's just so hard to deal with, and it's so annoying. And not only that, but its effect is a spell speed 2, so it can chain itself out of potential destruction. And so I feel like it's really just kind of gotten out of hand. And I don't think it needs to be banned because this card is let's be honest, it's the best generic level 8 synchro that we have in the game today, I feel like. But besides Crystal Wing or something, but this is way easier to make than Crystal Wing is. And so a lot of decks this is their go-to level 8 if they're able to make level 8 synchros. And yeah, I think it needs to be hit to either 2 or 1. So that's pretty much all I have to say about that. Moving on to the last of the monsters, Speedroid Terratop. Not a whole lot to say about this card. Not a whole lot needs to be said. Everyone knows what this card is. Everyone knows what it does. It's a tour guide that doesn't require a normal summon. That's pretty much all there is to it. It's a free like rank 3. And now, like I was saying earlier with Norden, like with Zodiac's about to come out, and this being able to make Invoker with one card when it's like not even requiring a normal summon, that's just fucking nutty. And that's something that like doesn't need to be able to happen consistently. And so I don't feel like they need to ban this card, but definitely hit it to 1. I think it definitely needs to go to 1. And that would be a good number. All right, moving on to spells. So I have Harpies Feather Duster listed here, and I want to talk about this card because I feel like Harpies Feather Duster, like, I feel like it's now or never, because this would be a great opportunity, I feel like, for them to like reintroduce this card back into the game at 1, because like this upcoming format, like everyone can see, everyone knows, like Twin Twister is a card that's being like relegated to like a side deck card. No one's like really maining it anymore because, like I said, the whole point of the game nowadays is to invest your entire hand into making a giant board that can't be broken. And so people are like switching out back row and Twin Twister and other back row like removal. Like they're side decking that and like going towards more like a combo and monster based sort of build. And so I feel like this card could come back to 1, and it really wouldn't like be game breaking because people like, I mean, outside of like Paleozoic, people don't run a whole shit ton of back row anymore, you know? And so I feel like they could bring this back for this upcoming format and kind of just see what it does. Like, see if it's overpowered, see if it's not overpowered. And then from there, like, the next format after this one, they can kind of make a decision based upon, like, how this did, whether they want to keep it at 1 or ban it again or whatever. But I feel like this card needs to come back. And no, before anyone says anything, I don't think Heavy Storm would come back over Feather Duster, simply for the fact that, like, with Pendulum decks, like, being able to pop both your scales is like a blessing. Like you want to be able to do that like a lot of times. And so Heavy Storm is just a little too overpowered with Pendulum decks about to be running rampant. Like we already have like Metal Foes, and then like the Pendulum Magician stuff is coming out at some point this year too. So Heavy Storm I think would be not a good choice. I think Feather Duster is better in favor of that. All right, so we're going to move on now to Metal Foes Fusion. This card is kind of like my wild card pick for the upcoming format to be hit in some kind of capacity, because at the end of the day, this card is a +1. It can put itself back from the graveyard back into the deck and draw you a card. That's a +1 in terms of pure card economy. And the fact that this can be set directly from the deck via any kind of Metal Foe like scale effect, like pop something, set this card directly from your deck, activate it to fusion summon something, get pluses off that, and then be able to get a +1 after all that's said and done, get a +1 off this card, and it puts itself back into the deck for you to just be able to do it over and over again and get a +1 every single time. I feel like that's just a little bit kind of out of hand. And if Konami's going to limit Upstart Goblin, which isn't even a +1 in terms of pure card economy, I feel like this card would be a good candidate to be brought down to either 2 or 1 at some point this year. We'll see. All right, and that's it for the spells. We're going to move on to the Lone Trap card here, and it's a doozy, let me tell you. Anti-Spell Fragrance. So, this card saw a lot of play during the entire August format, and for good reason. This is like one of the very best continuous floodgates in the entire game, and I don't know, man. This card is just like fucking ridiculous, because like, just being able to like shut off your opponent's spell cards for an entire turn, like you get to do your whole turn, do whatever you want, special summon, activate this shit, activate that shit, go off, shenanigans, everything, and then set this in your main phase 2, or whatever, and then activate it during your opponent's standby phase, and they can't activate spell cards for the whole turn. That's just like, that's too crazy, especially if you're playing something pendulum based. I mean, obviously everyone knows you can't set scales in the pendulum zone, so this deck is like almost like an auto win condition against pendulum decks, and it really kind of single-handedly wins games against other stuff like Blue Eyes, what have you. I mean, anything, man. Like, because decks are so spell-based and so fast nowadays, this card really just hurts a lot of stuff. And I feel like it's kind of gotten to the point where it's getting pretty delinquent, and I think it should come down to probably 1. I feel like 1 is probably the best number. They don't have to ban it, because I feel like if they brought it even to just a 1, a lot of people would just not even run it at all anymore, and then it would, problem solve from there. So, I mean, we'll see what they do with it. But yeah, that's pretty much all the cards I wanted to talk about. As for these 6 down here in the side deck area, I have listed here Bryanak of the Dragon of the Ice Barrier, BLS Envoy of the Beginning, Soul Charge, Magical Explosion, Vanity's Emptiness, and Solemn Strike. I'm not going to get in depth on these cards because I feel like everyone knows what they do. Everyone knows why they might potentially be hit or come back, vice versa. I have Bryanak listed here because of like the errata. I'm well aware of the fact that like they errated like 17 different cards and they all got brought back in the OCG. The only reason I have Bryanak listed here is because I feel like if they're going to bring some of those cards back to the TCG, this would be the best candidate because I feel like its errata kind of just made it bad. Just like, you know, once you're discarding all the shit, just like you can only do it once per turn now. I mean, it helps Mermail, but I don't know. It'll be interesting to see whether they choose to bring that eroded stuff back to the TCG or not. But besides that, like I said, I'm not going to get in depth on these. BLS, it's irrelevant. It can be brought back to more than one. Soul Charge, card's insane. It's like as far as like spell cards go, I think it might be the very #1 best spell card that's still legal in the game today. You can draw this turn 1. It's almost like an instant win condition. That's all there really is to that. Magical Explosions. Konami hates FTKs. I hate FTKs. Everyone fucking hates FTKs. Get rid of this card. It's fucking trash. It's garbage. Just get rid of it. Vanities, kind of same thing. This card, like, it's stupid. It's really stupid. Konami wants to promote player interaction, but yet you have a card that literally says you cannot play Yu-Gi-Oh! And so tell me how that's player interactive right there. It's not. Anyways, card's garbage. Get rid of it. Solemn Strike, I think they'll probably keep this at 3. I just have it on here because they have a history of banning the Solemn cards, or not banning, but at least hitting them in some kind of way. But I think Solemn Strike could stay at 3, and I think it should stay at 3 because it's a pretty balanced card, honestly. And with Metal Foes running rampant, with Pendulum Magicians coming out and probably running rampant at some point this year, this just needs to be kept at 3 as a check to that. And that's pretty much all I got on that. I appreciate you guys watching the video. If you have any kind of like suggestions for like something that you think I missed, or just any kind of just general comments about Yu-Gi-Oh, the ban list, what have you in general, feel free to leave them down below. We love to hear feedback from you guys. And like I said, I appreciate you taking the time to watch the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.